completely decrepit when we started this project. I was actually involved on the periphery of this when the town was considering buying this. I was on the planning commission, and you know, the planning commission's always interesting because you can recommend things or put things in the comp plan, but you don't have any power of the purse string at all. So when the property was purchased in 2012, I really didn't have a direct role in that, but I was in favor of the concept. And then when I took office in 2014, it was interesting because really not a lot had gotten accomplished, to be really frank about it. So we were kind of at square one with engineering, permitting, just even a concept plan. We really didn't have any of that. So right off the bat, you know, in May of my first year, we had a charrette right over here in the big shed, and just invited everyone to come. And you know, I showed them slides of the existing conditions. I talked about some of my ideas for what I thought would work, and then we just broke into little work groups and came up with a kind of a bulleted list of what the community wanted, and then we gave that to our engineers, and they came up with a concept plan. And then from that point, it was all dealing with the permitting process, dealing with concerns of neighbors, and then starting to raise the money. And so, you know, and that was critical. You can't raise money without a plan. Raising the money has just been an ongoing, you know, slog where we're really knocking on the door of every state agency that can help, every federal agency that can help. And then at the end of this past year, we had a small group of private donors really step up to the plate and provide matching funds for a lot of the grants that we'd already obtained from the state. And that was really a turning point. This is about a $6 million overhaul when you've dotted all the I's and crossed the T's. And we've raised about 5.7, almost $5.8 million now. So we still have about $250,000, $300,000 to raise, and I put out a plea to the private sector, and we've gotten about $35,000 in pledges just in the last couple of weeks, which is really great. And you know, anywhere from people donating $250 to get their name on one of these little pavers, all the way up to $250,000 if you wanted this building named after you. So that was always kind of part of the plan, to give community members a chance to contribute if they wanted to. And I didn't want to do that until the very end, when people could see the finish line in sight. You know, you don't want to take someone's private money and then not put anything in the ground for 5 years. And then they're like, why did I give you $5,000? I mean, now we can say, this is what your money is going to help us pay for. If this facility was no longer a working marina, we would really cease to be a waterfront town where people have access to the river. I mean, you could go to Wilmer Park and look at the water. You can go to the foot of High Street and look at the water, but the only place you can get on the water is right here. And to me, that's such a critical part of who we are. The town was founded as a port of entry in 1706. It's a big part of the culture of why people live here: fishing, crabbing, hunting, boating. It just made sense from a cultural and identity standpoint, but also this has a potential to be a real big economic engine for downtown Chestertown in particular, because right where we're standing is 2 blocks from the historic district, where we've got shops and restaurants and galleries and little B&Bs. And for many years, Chestertown was a destination for these boating clubs that would come up here. And if you make the effort to come to Chestertown, you just came 25 miles up the river, you're going to be here for the weekend. You're not going to pop in here for an hour and eat crabs like you might at Waterman's and Rock Hall and then go back out on the bay. You're going to be here for a while, and eventually you're going to walk uptown. We want to preserve the town's history, identity, and culture, but we also want to do this because we want to position the town for success 20 years down the line, and we see accessing the river by boat as a way to draw tourism dollars to the town, but also as a way to provide great amenities and quality of life aspects for people that already live here. So my dream for this has always been that we net enough revenue to basically pay off the mortgage without going into the town's general fund. And I'm cautiously optimistic that we're going to get there. I never envisioned this as a huge money maker for the town of Chestertown. If we ever get there, that'd be awesome. But if we got to a point where the place was full on a pretty regular basis and we were getting enough revenue to pay down the debt, by revenue that the facility itself is generating, that would be a great situation for the town to be in. Well, when I took office, I said the one place that had the biggest, where we had the most room to run for a transformative change was the waterfront. The town is really close to finishing our part of it and getting this marina back up to a first-class facility. The docks are there. You know, when the paving is done and these are all striped parking areas and the shed's down, and when we're done, we will have done our part. And then the big player downstream is the college. They just opened a new boathouse. They've talked about starting construction on a new environmental center, and then there's been a lot of rumors about maybe a small hotel conference center coming to the Armory. If that were all to happen, and we could connect all of it with a pedestrian-friendly footpath, I really do believe that you get a critical mass of cool things on this waterfront that make it a real destination that will be busy and full most of the year. It has required laser focus, and you have to be like a pit bull, you know, with a raw steak in your mouth every day, because this has just been such a long and grueling process. And when this place was tore up this year, you know, there were definitely days where I was like, man, this could fail, and this is a mess. But now that it looks like it does, we've turned the corner, and I think we all see the daylight now, and people can kind of understand what we were trying to do. And that's really helpful. A lot of people just can't vision it. They literally need to see 2x4s in the ground before they get it, and I think now people are getting it.